Hundreds of teams around the world could call themselves champions in 2023. For some, it was their first title ever. For others, it was their first in a really long time. For teams like that, 2023 will be remembered by their fans forever. And then for some, it was just an addition to a large number of championships collected in recent years. Today I've put together a list of league champions in 46 different countries or territories. Some pro, some semi-pro, some amateur, but always the top level of competition in the country, except in the case of Mexico and Cuba where I named the top two leagues. This is not a complete list, just the ones that could be easily found. If you know of any others, leave a comment and tell us all about it, even if it's just a small amateur league, as long as it's the highest level of baseball in the country. First champions of the year were crowned in January, all in the Caribbean, and that is where we'll start. In the Dominican Republic, the champion was Tigres del Licey. It was their 21st Lidom title. They won 2 titles before Lidom. If you count those, it gives them the most championships in the league at 23. It was their first title since the 2016 to 2017 season. They topped the regular season standings by 2 games, with a record of 34-16, scored the most runs, and allowed the fewest. In the 4-team, 16-game postseason round robin, they tied for first with Estrellas Orientales, with a record of 10-6. Those two met in the final series, where Estrellas won the first game, but Tigres won the next 4, to take the series in 5. In Puerto Rico's LBPRC, Indios de Mayagüez won their 19th league title, now one behind Criollos de Caguas for the most in league history. It was their first time winning it since the 2013 to 2014 season. It came after 3 straight runner-up finishes from 2020 to 2022, but in the 2022 to 23 season, they almost didn't make the playoffs. At 26 and 24, they were the last of the 4 teams to make it, 1 game ahead of Leones de Ponce for the last spot. But in the playoffs, they got the job done. 4-1 over top-seeded Criollos in the semifinals. Then 4-3 over Gigantes de Carolina in the final series, winning 2-1 in the deciding Game 7. The Cuban Elite League played its inaugural season in the winter of 2022 to 23, replacing the Cuban National Series, which has been moved to the summer. I'll mention the champion from there later. 6 teams were put together for the season, and the best of those was Agriculturas. At 30-19, they topped the standings by 3.5 games over the second-place team. One of the worst pitching teams, but also the highest scoring team. In the semifinals, they swept Tabacaleros in 4 games, then moved on to the final series, where they came back from a 3-1 series deficit with Portuarios. Agriculturas came back, walking it off in the 9th to win 7-6 in Game 7. In Venezuela's LVBP, the title went to Leones del Caracas, their 21st league title, the most in league history. But it was their first since the 2009 to 2010 season, the longest title drought in their 60 years of existence. They won the regular season title with a record of 36-19, 2 games ahead of second-place Cardenales de Lara. Good balance of pitching and hitting, with the most runs scored and the fewest allowed. In the 5-team, 16-game postseason round robin, they once again topped the standings at 10-6. 1 game ahead of second-place Tiburones de La Guaira, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s team. In the championship series, Leones were victorious, 4-2. In Colombia's LPB, Vaqueros de Monteria won their second league title, first since the 2019 to 2020 season. The team was just founded in 2019. They were second in the regular season standings, 1 game behind the leader, Tigres de Aragua, with a record of 27-15, the best pitching team in the 4-team league, and second in runs scored. In the semifinals, they knocked off defending champions Caimanes de Barranquilla, 3-2. In the final series, they took care of Tigres 4-1, losing only Game 2. In Panama's LPBP, commonly known as ProBase, the title went to Federales de Chiriquí. At 16-4, they were the top team in the regular season, earning themselves a trip to the final series. In the final series, they swept Atlanticos in 3 games for the title. The last time a team from Chiriquí won it all was in the 2019 to 2020 season, when Astronautes de Chiriquí won it. In Mexico's LMP, Cañeros de los Mochis went from consecutive last-place finishes in the previous 2 seasons to LMP champions in the 2022 to 23 season. It was only their 4th title in 60 years, exactly 20 years after their last title. The LMP's 10 teams play a split-season format. In the first half, they were 4th in the standings at 19-16, just 2 games out of first. In the second half, they were first at 22-11. Overall, Cañeros were second at 41-27, 2 games from the top spot. They started their playoff run by beating Mayos de Navajoa 4-1 in the quarterfinals. In the semis, 4-2 over Yaquis de Obregón, then took the final series in 6 over Algodoneros de Guasave for the championship. Those 7 teams, plus Wildcats KJ74, the champions of the Curaçaoan National Championship AA League, met in the 65th Caribbean Series in La Guaira, Venezuela from February 2nd to the 10th. I didn't mention Curaçao's league here because their champion was crowned in 2022. I'll mention their 2023 champion later. With 8 teams, it was the largest Caribbean Series ever. In the 7-game round robin, Mexico's Cañeros and Venezuela's Leones were 5-2. Colombia's Vaqueros and Dominican Republic's Tigres were 4-3. Those 4 moved on to the knockout stage. In the semis, Tigres took care of Cañeros 8-3. Leones beat Vaqueros 7-5. And in the championship game, Tigres del Licey from the Dominican Republic beat Leones 3-0 for their 11th Caribbean Series championship, the most won by any team ever. Nicaragua's LBPN was the lone Caribbean Winter League that did not get to send its champion to the Caribbean Series, though that will change in 2024. The champion for the 2022-23 season was Indios del Bor. In the regular season, they were tied with Tren del Norte for the league's best record at 18-14. In the 4-team postseason round robin, they were 7-5, tied for first with Gigantes de Rivas. In the final series, Indios won 4-2 for their 9th LBPN title, the most in league history, for their first title since 2015. They had finished last in the previous 2 seasons. In Australia, the Adelaide Giants were ABL champions for the first time since the league was relaunched in 2010. During the regular season, they were 25-15, first in the Southwest Division, second best record overall. In the playoffs, they beat the Auckland Tuatara 2-1 in the semifinals. In the best-of-3 championship series, they took care of the Perth Heat 2-1 to claim the Claxton Shield, winning the deciding game on February 5th, 5-2. In South Africa, Gauteng A were the national champions. With the help of former Pittsburgh Pirates prospect Victor Ngope, they were able to beat Cape Town A in the championship game 12-6, their first time beating Cape Town in many years. This club also claimed gold in the B division and the ladies division for a sweep of the national championships. Moving up to Europe, a complete list of champions here thanks to an article from Dutch Baseball Hangout. I'll link that in the description if you want to know more about all these European championship teams. In the Honkbal Hoofdklasse in the Netherlands, the Amsterdam Pirates overcame a slow start to win the Holland Series for the 7th time, 3rd in the last 5 years. In the regular season, they were 16-7-1, good for 3rd place. In the 4-team winner stage, they had the second best record at 16-11. In the semis, they knocked off defending champions HCAW 3-2. The championship series went a full 7 games with Neptunus, the team that dominated during the regular season. Amsterdam won an exciting one, 9-8 for the title. In the Italian League, Unipolsai Fortitudo Bologna won their 14th league title, first since 2020. Bologna, Parma, and San Marino were really close all season, but Bologna rolled through the playoffs. In the quarterfinals, they swept Ronchi in 3 games. Semifinals, a 4-game sweep over Parma. Italian Series, a 4-game sweep over 2-time defending champion San Marino. It was the 4th time in the last 5 years that Bologna and San Marino met in the Italian Series. In Czech Baseball Extraliga, Draží Brno was crowned champions of the Czech Series for a record 24th time. Got off to a slow start but surged toward the end to top the regular season standings at 13-8, just 1 game ahead of the second-place team. Dominated the postseason round robin at 16-4. Semifinals beat Eagles Praha 3-1, then beat Tempo Praha in the Czech Series 3-2, winning the deciding Game 5 4-1. In Germany's Baseball Bundesliga, the Heidenheim Heidekep won their 7th league title. Not the winningest team ever, but all 7 of those titles have come since 2009, 6 since 2015. Definitely the Heidenheim era in Germany. Easily topped the regular season standings in the South Division, with a record of 22-2, 4 games ahead of the second-place team. Their march through the playoffs, 3-2 over the Doran Wild Farmers in the quarterfinals, 3-1 over Regensburg in the semis, and 3-1 over the Paderborn Untouchables in the final series. In France, the Rouen Huskies' run of 7 consecutive league titles came to an end, as they did not even make the playoffs. The Montpellier Barracudas beat the Montigny-les-Bretonneux Cougars in 5 games. The deciding 5th game was won by the Barracudas 8-0. It was their 4th league title. At midseason, teams from those 5 leagues competed in the 60th European Champions Cup in the Netherlands. In Group A, Parma from the Italian League and Amsterdam advanced, while Draží Brno from the Czech League and Paderborn Untouchables from the German League were eliminated. In Group B, HCAW from the Dutch League and the Bonn Capitals from the German League moved on. The Czech League's Arrows Ostrava and the French League's Rouen Huskies were sent home. In the semifinals, HCAW beat Amsterdam, and Parma beat Bonn. In the finals, Parma's bid for a three-peat was denied, as HCAW won 11-4 for their first ever European Champions Cup title. Spain's champion in 2023 was Tenerife Marlins for the third year in a row, their 16th overall, first in the regular season at 18-2, first in the winner's stage at 17-3. And that was it, no championship series. The runner-up team in both stages were the Valencia Astros. In Belgium, the Deurne Spartans claimed their fifth Belgian League title, and their first since 2019, 3-1 over the defending champion Hoboken Pioneers. In Austria, the Diving Ducks Wiener Neustadt won their second league title, beating Vienna Metro Stars 3-2. In Belarus, BC Minsk repeated as champions by taking care of the Brest-Zabur 3-1. In Bulgaria, the Sofia Blues repeated as champs, beating the Blagoevgrad Buffaloes 3-1. In Croatia, Olimpia Karlovac won their third straight title, disposing of Vindia in the championship series 4-1. In Denmark, the Odense Wolves were champions for the first time. They won the best-of-3 championship series over the Urban Achievers 2-1. All 3 games were decided by 1 run. In Finland, the Tampere Tigers and Espoo Expos met in the final series for the 4th straight year. Tampere Tigers repeated as champions, winning it 3-1. In Britain, the London Mets won their 5th consecutive British title, 2-1 over the London Capitals. In Hungary, the Budapest Red Wolves were crowned champions after finishing with a perfect record of 8-0, 3 games better than the next best team. In Ireland, the Greystones Mariners claimed their 3rd league title, beating the Dublin Spartans 2-0. In Lithuania, BK Vilnius won it for the 3rd straight year. It took them a full 5 games to beat Kaunas Green, but they won the deciding Game 5 convincingly, 20-9. In Norway, a single championship game was won by the Kristiansund Suns, 10-3 over Vålerenga Baseball. In Poland, Stal Kutno won their 3rd consecutive championship with a 3-game sweep over Jeopardy Zori by a combined score of 36-6. In Portugal, the title went to Club Deportivo Farense. They beat Piratas de Ria 2-1. In Russia, Rustar claimed their 3rd title in a row with a 3-game sweep over the Moscow Wolves. In Serbia, Beograd 96 won the league record 21st championship with a 16-10 win over 2-time defending champions Vojvodina in the single-game championship. In Slovakia, Apollo Bratislava won their 12th league title with a dominating 3-game sweep over Angels Trnava by a combined score of 47-8. In Sweden, the Rättvik Butchers won their 4th championship, easily sweeping 3 games from the Stockholm Monarchs. In Switzerland, Zurich Challengers won their 10th league title and first since 2018, as they beat 4-time defending champion Teruel Flyers 3-1. Back to the Americas, the Cuban National Series was won by Las Tunas. Since the team was founded in 1977, it was only their 2nd title, after winning their first one 4 years ago. They were the best team in the regular season with a record of 45-29, 2 games better than second-place Santiago, the highest-scoring team in the league. In the quarterfinals, they swept Ciego de Avila in 4 games. In the semifinals, 4-2 over Matanzas. And in the final series, a 4-game sweep over Industriales. Another country that gets 2 leagues mentioned here. The Mexican Summer League, the LMB, was won by Pericos de Puebla, their 5th title overall, first since 2016. In the regular season, they were 46-40, good for 4th out of 9 teams in the LMB South Zone. In the first round of the playoffs, they blew a 3-0 series lead and lost the opening series to El Águila de Veracruz 4-3. In most leagues, that would be the end. But in the LMB, the losing team that came closest to winning their series gets to move on as the lucky loser. Pericos then went on to beat top-seeded Diablos Rojos del Mexico 4-2. In the zone final, they knocked off defending champions Leones de Yucatan 4-1. In the Serie del Rey, they beat Algodoneros de Unión Laguna 4-2 to claim the league title. Great for Pericos, but not for Algodoneros, who now continue with their 73-year title drought. At the end of September, the 2022 champions from the Cuban National Series, Alazanes de Granma, Mexico's LMB, Leones de Yucatan, Colombia's LPB, Caimanes de Barranquilla, and the American Association of the U.S. and Canada, the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks, met in the first ever Champions League. After a 3-day round-robin, Caimanes and the Redhawks were both 2-1. Leones and Alazanes were 1-2. So Caimanes and Redhawks met in the championship game. That was won by the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks 8-0, claiming the first Champions League Americas for the American Association. Just a 4-team, 4-day Champions League this year, but they have big plans for this in the future. In Major League Baseball, the Texas Rangers won the World Series for the first time ever, a team that's been around since 1961, in Texas since 1971, and came so close to winning it a dozen years before. At 90 and 72, they were tied for first in the AL West, but lost the tiebreaker and had to settle for the number 5 seed. In the wildcard series, they swept the Tampa Bay Rays in 2 games. Division series, a 3-game sweep of the Baltimore Orioles. ALCS, a hard-fought win over defending champion Houston Astros in 7 games. In the World Series, they took care of the NL champion Arizona Diamondbacks 4-1, winning the deciding Game 5 with a 5-0 shutout. In Canada's Intercounty Baseball League, the highest level league in Canada if we're not counting the one Major League team, the Jack and Lynn Domenico Cup went to the Welland Jackfish, a team founded in 2019, winning its first ever league title. They were first in the regular season at 31-11. They won the championship series 4-2 over the Barrie Baycats. Across the Pacific to East Asia, the champions of Japan's NPB for the first time since 1985, the Hanshin Tigers. Only their second title since the league was reorganized into NPB in 1950. It ended the second longest title drought in NPB and ended the famous Curse of the Colonel. The Tigers finished the regular season with a record of 85, 53, and 5, topping the Central League standings, most runs scored, and by far the lowest team ERA. As the top team in the regular season, they earned a first-round bye and went straight to the final stage of the Central League Climax Series, where they swept the Hiroshima Carp in 4 games. In the Japan Series, they met Pacific League champion and defending Japan Series champion, the Oryx Buffaloes. The series went a full 7 games before Hanshin prevailed, winning the final game 7-1. In Korea's KBO, they also saw the second longest title drought come to an end. The LG Twins won their first title since 1994, and just their 3rd title overall since the team was established in 1982. They easily topped the regular season standings with a record of 86, 56, and 2, 6.5 games ahead of the second-place KT Wiz. In the KBO playoff system, the number 1 seed goes straight to the Korean Series, while the other 4 teams fight for the other spot. The Wiz grabbed the other spot and won the first game of the Korean Series over the Twins. But the Twins won all the rest to take the series 4-1, including a 6-2 win in Game 5. In Taiwan CPBL, the Weichuan Dragons won the Taiwan Series. This club won 4 titles from 1990 to 1991, then didn't exist from 2000 to 2019, so it was their first title since '99 and their 5th in the last 33 years. But counting only years the team's been active, they've won 5 titles in 13 years. Split season format in the CPBL, they were second in the first half standings at 30, 27, and 3. First in the second half standings at 32, 26, and 2. Best overall record at 62, 53, and 5, earning them a trip to the Taiwan Series, where they needed all 7 games to beat the Rakuten Monkeys. They won Game 7 by the score of 6-3. In the Chinese Baseball League, the Shanghai Red Eagle won their first title with a 2-0 sweep over the Jiangsu Huge Horses, 6-3 in Game 1, 3-0 in Game 2. The Tan Holdings Saipan Baseball League was won by a team simply called Cardinals. They swept the final series in 2 games over the Junior Nationals to finish the season undefeated. And one more league to mention, as it was the last one to crown a champion. In the finals of the Curaçao Professional Baseball League, it was the Curaçao Suns walking it off to beat the Willemstad Cannons 6-5 in the championship game. More of a tournament than a season. It lasted 8 days, from December 2nd to the 8th. So there you have it, 46 champions from around the world in 2023. A first ever champion in MLB. Long title droughts ended in NPB and KBO. A couple last to first stories from the LMP and in Nicaragua. Lots of consecutive titles won in Europe. In France, a dominant title streak came to an end. A Dominican team reigned over the Caribbean. A Dutch team claimed all of Europe. An American Association team won the inaugural Champions League. What a year it was. Anyway, that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.